Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi Corner. This is episode number 276, Ghost Story. Classic 1981 supernatural horror film starring Fred Astaire, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., Melvin Douglas, John Houseman, and Alice Krige. And with me tonight to discuss this classic from the 80s and to celebrate Halloween month as we are thick in it is my friend and my co-host, Ross Amico.
Hey, Roy.
Hey, Ross. How's it going?
Oh, okay. Just sitting here cooling my jets for a half hour.
Yeah. For once, folks, Ross was actually on time. As he told me, or I said it. And of course, I was having major technical issues, as in the computer wasn't working. So we delayed our start. So we're not going to go into the wee hours of the night. So I told Ross we will wind down by 9 o'clock. So anyway, instead of our normal 2-hour show,
there is no time.
A normal 90-minute show.
Do not. Yes. Yeah.
But anyway, with that said, I want to say hi to the folks that are joining us, and thanks everybody that is out there for being flexible. And again, I haven't said it, but I am sorry that we were delayed. First, I'm going to say hi to Tom Baker that's out there, and he's joining us from Brussels. And I remember Tom
welcome back. Yeah,
welcome back, Tom. Thanks for being out there. And yes, and thank you for commenting too. Much appreciated.
What time is it there? It must be 7 hours ahead in Brussels.
Yeah, I'm trying to. That's a great question.
In the middle of the night.
Oh, it has to be. Yeah, definitely.
I
want to say hi to Lou. Lou, thank you for joining us. And Lou's got a full plate right now. So, and Lou, I'm just going to say, I'm very, sorry about your dad. So I just want to deepest condolences from us. And just, I know, again, you got a lot of going on, but I just wanted to give our best to you. So Jeff Rubel is joining us from Utah. Jeff, welcome. And also May is out there. Welcome, May. She's joining us from Canada. And also Shari's out there, and she's downstairs, and she's saying, "Hey guys, Ghost Story, what a good creepy movie. Forgot I had seen this in the movies till we started."
and until the first full frontal noodle shot, full frontal nudity shot. It's like, oh, I remember this movie.
No shower scene though.
Just bathtubs. Yeah.
Tom said 136 out there.
Oh wow. Well, thank you for your dedication.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Bill, thank you for joining us. Bill's out there with Mary. Hi to both of you. And I think I covered everybody. So thanks again, everybody, for watching, and thanks again for your flexibility. And again, I am sorry we were late. So that's on me tonight. Shari's saying almost a shower scene with the thunderstorm. Yeah, nature shower scene. Anyway, I actually have a very clear memory of seeing this film, Ross.
Yeah.
And I saw it. I have a really clear memory of seeing this film, Ross. I think I saw it now.
Yeah.
I saw it on a Saturday afternoon. I remember, and this is appropriate, especially with how many Lost in Space fans out there first? Just going to throw that out there. Who out there is a Lost in Space fan?
A show of hands.
Show of hands. Just anyway, from the 60s, that is. Yeah. I remember seeing VHS rental store. There we go. He said and he remembers watching it in 1984. Thanks, Tom. I remember seeing this film on a Saturday afternoon, and I had seen the Ghost Planet episode of Lost in Space, which is the third episode of the second season, if I remember correctly. And shortly after watching that, I was going to go see Ghost Story. And I think, and again, I sound like a broken record, Ross, but I'm pretty sure I went with Joe, and I went, and some other folks
Oh,
for the ride.
wow. Yeah, you saw it in the theater. I don't think I saw it on HBO, I think.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't see it in the theater. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's something. 81.
Yeah. 44 years ago.
Yeah.
Crazy, crazy, crazy.
Yeah. It probably would have frightened me in 81. I was such a sensitive kid. Yeah.
Sherry's saying she saw it in the theater.
Hmm.
Bill's saying he was a Lost in Space fan. But yeah, I remember seeing it, and I remember thinking, now John Houseman, I remember because he was also in, I mean, he was in $6 Million Man, he was in The Bionic Woman, but of course John Houseman's
Paper
now,
Chase.
yeah,
Yeah.
Paper Chase. I mean, and his everything that he's done. I mean, his list is beyond epic.
Well, he's a legend. Yeah. But he was just in only in one scene, but he was in the fog just before this also, maybe a year or two before. But
Yeah, that was 1980.
Yeah. Do you remember? I wasn't sure that you had seen it in the movies, and you just said you'd seen the Ghost Planet or whatever it was, the Lost in Space. Do you remember they used to stack up Halloween episodes sometimes on these before we had everything's owned by Disney or whoever owns every channel on the every frequency. It used to be that they had the local affiliates. They had Philadelphia, New York, and what have you. And I remember that they used to stack up Halloween episodes of Bewitched, and they were all different. Somebody actually went through and picked out all the Halloween oriented ones and aired them on Halloween Day. It's a digression, but am I the only one that remembers that? Oh, the hell with it.
I know, I do remember that, but that's back when television.
Yeah.
I mean, we only had basic channels, and we've talked about this before. I mean, you had 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13.
Yeah.
And then if you lived in the Philadelphia area, you had 3, 6, and 10, and that was NBC, ABC, and then CBS. 10 was CBS. So with the syndicated networks, or the like Channel 17 or Channel 29
in our area, nobody knows what we're talking about. If they're outside the area, they say what?
Yeah,
the New York and Philly and Jersey stations. Yeah.
Right. Channel 11, Channel 9 out of New York, or not, and 11. 9 was Secaucus, New Jersey, and then it was out of New York at one point. But to your point, Ross, there was almost like it was very thematic, and it was actually like thought that went into scheduling things, and it was fun because it was the season, and you would look forward things. I mean, Channel 11 for the longest time, and I don't know if they still do it at the holidays. They'll do the
Kongathon.
Yeah, well,
on Thanksgiving. Is that what you're talking about?
No, where they're doing the fire. They'll do the
the Yule log.
The Yule log. They'll do the Yule log.
Well, it used to be a novelty. Now you can buy videos or whatever, and somebody does the Yule log every year.
Yeah. Bill's even saying the 4:30 movie on WABC in New York would have a ghost week around Halloween. Exactly, and that's what Ross is referencing.
But is now the time for me to bring up that time you went to the phone booth with a sack full of dimes to call Philadelphia to have them put on your missing Lost in Space episodes?
Actually, that was Space 1999.
Space 1999, so you could record the ones you didn't have.
Yeah. my attempt of phoning into the station and saying, please air it, please air it.
It was a better world back then.
It was.
You could actually get people and talk to them and have them say no to your face. Yeah.
Back before, when you hit 0 and it says it doesn't register.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, back to John Houseman. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Not very colorful digression.
Bill was saying my brother and I still watch Kong on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. They don't, but we can. Yeah.
Oh, before you jump in, Sherry said the lead actress in the movie reminds me of the actress in Gone Girl. Creepy. I can't think of her name. Rosalind Pike is who Sherry's referencing.
Oh.
There is a similarity if you look at,
Yeah, so John Houseman, you're not on Facebook anymore. Are you not?
Hi, Brennan. Who's not on Facebook? The show's not on Facebook, Brendan? Should be.
It wasn't on at 7, maybe, but
Oh yeah, we delayed, Brendan. But you know what? Let me check something real quick.
I had just looked on your page before you went on, and you were there.
Was I? Where were we?
I don't know about live though. I just saw the announcements that you'd be on tonight. But what have you?
Oh, we're live. We're on Facebook.
Well, what do you know?
There we go. Go ahead, Ross. I'm sorry.
That's a refresh your screen. Yeah. So John Houseman goes all the way back with Orson Welles, back to the Federal Theater project, back to Mercury Theater, and he was a director, a producer, produced. I mean, I could go into all kinds of stuff nobody's gonna even care about, but he was a friend and collaborator with Orson Welles for a while. Until they got to Hollywood, and they were developing a film version of Heart of Darkness, the Joseph Conrad story novella, and that fell apart. And I guess Houseman was the money guy. He was the guy keeping track of the budget, and Orson's like, well, everybody's going to get paid anyway, and Houseman said, well, actually, we don't have any money. So Orson, who was all liquored up, by the way, called him like a skin flint and a bloodsucker, and started throwing stuff at him. So
well, I did read that they were like arch enemies.
Yeah. So that kind of put a damper on the friendship. But despite that, the film that they did realize then was Citizen Kane, and Welles called Houseman and he said, please, can you go and babysit Mankiewicz, the screenwriter. There's so many Mankiewiczes, I have to try to remember which one it is now. Because Joseph Mankiewicz was the director. Ben Mankiewicz is on TCM. He's like the nephew or grandson.
Yes.
There's a whole dynasty of Mankiewiczes. But anyway, Mankiewicz, who wrote the screenplay for Citizen Kane, he said, can you sit there and make sure he finishes this thing? Because, Mank was notorious for wandering off and drinking and all kinds of other stuff. So he sat there and made sure the thing was written, but he went public then later and mentioned that Mankiewicz had written the screenplay, and Orson went ballistic because he wanted to be like this Renaissance man. Like the Kane was just entirely his baby. He did the whole thing himself. And despite the fact that it's his movie, it's a work of genius, he couldn't deal with sharing credit with the screenplay, so that was it. They were quits, so they were no longer friends after that.
It's all about the ego, Ross. It's all about the ego.
It's all about the ego. But Houseman didn't, he wasn't hurting for work. He produced a lot of movies, and if you look at his credits, you see a lot of them are classics. And he was nominated for an Academy Award for producing Julius Caesar, the one with Brando as Brutus. And I guess Lewis Calhern was Caesar in that one, if I remember correctly. I remember Miklos Rozsa did the music. But anyway, and then he got nominated for an acting Oscar and won for Paper Chase in the 70s. So it's pretty remarkable that the guy, even though he did a little bit of acting up to that point, that he had that success late in life, because then he was everywhere. He was also the founding Tom Mankiewicz helped write Superman. Yeah, he's one of the Mankiewiczes, right? But anyway, the Houseman had become the founder of the drama department at Juilliard. He was the founding director of that, and so he taught people like Robin Williams and Christopher Reeve, and Robin Williams used to joke about how Houseman had said, "Well, I can't show you anything else, Mr. Williams," and then Robin Williams says, and then he's doing Volvo commercials on TV. He's telling him that he can't teach him, and he's still doing commercials for Volvo.
It's always a double standard, Ross. It's always a double standard.
Well, you can't begrudge him his popularity.
No, I mean,
life.
He was able to do it. I mean, he had the status. I just want to say hi real quickly to Diana. Diana, welcome. Thanks for being out there. And she says, I love this movie. Yeah, it's definitely we have a lot to talk about it. in 90 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don's joining us also. Welcome, Don. And May is saying she is watching on Facebook. And let me see. Yeah, I think I'm caught up with that. Tom said you guys never seen The Haunting. Oh, The Haunting of Julia. I saw that you mentioned that before.
Yeah, because Julia, I think, was also based on a Peter Straub book. I've never seen it.
No, I haven't either. And speaking of the book is so much different than the movie. And unfortunately, I did not read the book, but just from everything that I've read about the book and the movie. And Peter Strauss was not exactly happy about that, but we can get into that.
The book was everywhere. Remember seeing that?
My mom had it, and I remember it clearly being on the coffee table in the house. In fact, I actually did a Google search on it today because I was like, okay, I remember the blue cover, and it had like the red and the silver, and
right,
and boom, it came right up. In fact, I was going to make a screenshot of it, and I didn't. So
but out of necessity, they had to cut it down to get it into they had to have it under 2 hours in order
like our show, Ross.
Yeah, there's pressure from the studio because they could fit in more showings, an extra showing if they kept it under 2 hours. So
the suits.
So a lot of stuff had to go, and yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, I know we're jumping all over the place. The only reason I went down the Houseman rabbit hole is because you started talking about him, and I wanted to make sure we
and you know what, we should, because this movie has, I mean, as I was saying when we opened, I mean, there's a lot of powerhouses in this film, especially for back in the day, and most of them were semi-retired. And the fact that they all came together to be in this film, and a lot of them had never at one point all worked together. Some had worked with others, but the four of them had never been in a production, let alone a supernatural horror film, which was actually starting to pick up momentum, which was probably the reason why that they decided to be in it, all of them, because around that time there was Laurence Olivier that did Dracula in 1979. That was a huge hit. You had Gregory Peck in The Omen in 86. You had The Exorcist in 73 with help me. Oh my goodness.
Max von Sydow.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, the horror movies were becoming more mainstream and big
more respected
movies as opposed to B movies. I mean, there were plenty of B movies in the 70s too, like the Manitou. But
which actually was in the book what was supposed to be, but anyway, that's another digression, we'll say.
Little inside joke there.
Yeah.
But and what's also remarkable though is these guys were all around 80 years old, except for Douglas Fairbanks was a little younger, but they were around 80 years old at the time that they
he was a kid.
Yeah, right, he was in his 70s. But there was Fred Astaire, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., Melvin Douglas, and John Houseman, who I, until last week when you mentioned, I'd totally forgotten there were four of them. I remember the three of them. Fred Astaire had it's funny because you go, there's no standards anymore. There is no journalism anymore. There's no standards because everybody has a blog and they just write what they want, and there are no editors or anything. So you go and you read up on some of these movies, see what they have to say about it. So somebody's writing about Ghost Story. And, when they write about a movie, they'll mention the actor and they'll put maybe two other credits after their name so you know who they are. It's like Fred Astaire. And it was Towering Inferno.
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was something like that. Comma, and they, I think they mentioned $6 Million Man for John Houseman. It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, you crazy. But then they got to Douglas Fairbanks Jr. and they realized that they couldn't think of anything before 1940 or anything after 1940. Suddenly it was like Prisoner of Zenda and Sinbad the Sailor. It's like, well, why did he get real credits?
Eventually, somebody had to break the chain,
I guess. But you had them, and then Patricia Neal was in it, which was amazing that they got her to come back.
And that's another point where the book was different because, originally, in the book, instead of being 4 members in the Chowder Society, there were 5. The 5th one was cut, so that was a change. Also, Patricia Neal, she would have had a bigger part. However, her part was kind of reduced. And again, talking about studio interference, the studio was having it more about, was almost going in direction with not focusing on so much the older gentlemen of the Chowder House, the Chowder Society, but focusing on their younger versions. So there was again altering of the story, and they also altered the other part was with the with Alice Krige's character, where the entity is actually more out for vengeance out on the town, and instead they made it more personal, where it was more of a conventional ghost story where she's just basically trying to have her, she's out for vengeance, but she's trying to essentially have it come out what exactly happened with her. And then once it's spoiler alert folks, 44 years, once it's revealed how she had passed, then the ghost is sort of laid to rest, in a matter of speaking.
Yeah, and I've never read the book, but I understand that when they adapt books that aren't kind of plot driven, where there's a lot of atmosphere and it's how it's told more than what's told. I mean, obviously it was a plot in this book, but I think a lot of it was also how it was told, and you can't really translate that satisfactorily. To the there's certain writers you can do that, and some are just like too. I have not read it, but I have a feeling that this probably has a little more to it than just this happened, because he was an English professor. I think it was, where was he, Milwaukee or something? Peter Straub. He's a big reader, and he loves Nathaniel Hawthorne, and he loved Henry James, and these are not really hit you over the head writers. There's always something more to it. There's psychological depth, there's atmosphere.
Well, May just commented, and she said the book is very psychological, what you just said, Ross. A lot takes place in the minds of the characters.
Yeah, so you're kind of setting yourself up for it's a challenge to adapt that kind of story for the screen. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But there were so many conflicting ideas of what this there's so many conflicting ideas of what this movie was going to be. The director apparently wanted it to be more like the Robert Wise version of The Haunting, and perhaps like The Innocents, which was an adaptation of Henry James' Turn of the Screw, where you really don't know if it's like what's going on in the governess's head or if it's really happening, or but I don't think he was like from television. This guy was this Irvin. John Irving. So he had done Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy with Alec Guinness, which got acclaim, aired here on PBS in the U.S. He had completed his first feature, Dogs of War, which hadn't gotten to the theaters yet when he got hired. So, I don't know how much he was able to realize what he really wanted to do with this, how much of it was his ability due to his lack of experience with feature films, and how much of it was studio interference. But he did have great people working for him, because the cinematographer, the guy who did the special effects, the makeup artist, the screenwriter, I mean, they were all like dynamos.
Well, speaking of the special visual effects, I'm having deja vu, because last week we were giving a mention to Albert Whitlock, and again he's back.
Well, the house, the mansion that she lived, the Victorian home that was the site of the ghost, was amazing for a matte painting.
It was gorgeous. It was incredible.
Yeah, I didn't even notice it was a matte painting the first time I watched it. So
I honestly did not either. I had no idea. And I guess they filmed it, and they later filmed it in an where was it? It was an abandoned train station, right? In New York?
Right, in Albany. Yeah.
In Albany. Union Station, former New York Central Railroads, in Albany, New York. Yeah.
Now, did I understand correctly? Was that the same set from the beginning, where it was the apartment, where a guy falls out the window, and then later on they like redressed it and made it the mansion?
That was my takeaway. Did you?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's some movie magic there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for 1981. Well,
But I personally didn't find it a very scary movie myself. But I'm older now. I would have been scared. I would have been more scared by it the first time I watched it. But all I could remember was the guy falling naked out of the window, and I think it scarred me. It would be one thing if he was just naked and falling, but there was a lot of motion going on there. It's like, really?
Bill said The Omen scared the heck out of me. Saw it in the movies in the front seat. Oh boy.
Yeah.
The Omen. Oh my goodness. Billy Whitelaw. Am I right?
Which one?
She was in The Omen. Billy.
Billy. Yeah.
Billy Whitelaw. She was scary. She played the. She was like the instructor for the nanny for
right.
For Damien, and she was wicked. She was bad.
Yeah. I have to say, it's quite a shock to see Fred Astaire in a movie with quite so much, where he gets to kill somebody, and there's full frontal nudity. It's like, wait a minute, what happened to Top Hat and Royal Wedding?
All in the same movie, Ross. All in the same movie.
Like, how did they get these guys out of quasi-retirement to come and do this? These are all golden age actors that made some very classic movies. Yeah, Gene Kelly from Xanadu. Yeah, he came back and did that too, right?
Brennan also said Straub meant to be a literary novelist, but Julia was a big hit and started his career in a different direction, although he was still very literary, too much so for some horror fans.
Yeah, he was also an admirer. I mean, there's a kind of a mutual admiration thing with Stephen King, so he wasn't afraid.
He really enjoyed his work and really complimented, was very appreciative of him. And the other thing too was with Straub, he even admitted too this movie could have been more along the lines of I think the director was even saying about doing it as like a movie of the week where they broke it up into a couple of parts, but Universal didn't want any part of it because they wanted the film.
Right.
And it would have been more along the lines of Salem's Lot.
Right. Which, if I understood correctly when I was reading about it, was something that Straub had read and liked.
Yeah.
And kind of was influenced by. And, he and Stephen King actually collaborated on The Talisman. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember seeing that book where they had both their names on the cover. It was like a great team up between the two superheroes of horror fiction. But
I did not know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but they liked each other. They were friendly. And
there seemed to be a respect that he had for him. And
Stephen King always said that Straub was the better writer, and I think by that he meant that he was a more artful writer than he was. But King, of course, was churning out the ideas, cranking out horror story after horror story.
I'm doing a total digression here, but speaking of Stephen King, we watched a Stephen King movie, something different, just not the usual stuff. Did you ever see the movie Thinner?
No, I did not.
I mean, it's not great, but it was different and it was entertaining. I'm curious to see if Shari types any comments about Thinner. Okay. We'll see.
I remember when it was out, but I did not see it.
Yeah, it's almost a 30-year-old movie, Ross. I think it's like 28 years old.
Well, what gets me? Venom was out the same year this was out. And for this movie seems like it's a million years ago to me, but Venom seems like it was just yesterday.
Yeah.
What's it say? Talisman was a weird book?
Yeah, Brennan said Talisman was a weird book. Spielberg was going to make a movie of it, but never happened. Now, production for this film began on January 19th, 1981. Now, it was released literally a week before Christmas on the 18th of December. And that was, to coincide with the feeling of Christmas and the holidays and the snow.
It was like last year when they opened Nosferatu on Christmas Day. I know where I'm going to be on December 25th. No, I wasn't there on Christmas.
Now here's the cast.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to Melvin Douglas looked like that in all of his later movies, but I don't know what happened. Life is hard, Roy. Because you go back to the 30s and 40s with Melvin Douglas, and he's just full of vigor
Yeah.
and it's just, boy, by the time, I don't know,
I,
like, he had a hard life, I guess. But who had a hard life was Patricia Neal. I mean, she really had a hard life. She was only 55 in this movie.
are you serious?
Can you believe that? Yeah,
That's the one thing I didn't look up. I did not look up her age. She was only 55.
How could that be? How could that possibly be?
Wow.
Yeah,
I would have guessed she was like in her 70s, Ross.
yeah, she had a real hard time.
Well, she had a stroke and she bounced back from it. But I remember, do you remember the Waltons? And
Yes.
she was in the opening. She played Livy. It was before Michael Leonard had the part.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I remember my mom talking about, how she had, had the stroke and it, she worked her way back. I always think of The Day the Earth Stood Still when I think of her.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Immediately.
Fountainhead, and she was in a lot of stuff. But she lost a child to measles. She, because it was, it was before it was vaccinated. It was back in the day, and
Right.
and lost another one, had brain damage, got hit by a car, and so she had a really, and then she herself had the aneurysms, the stroke, that she had to fight back from. Her husband was at the time was Roald Dahl, and he's the one that gave her the tough love and made her kind of fight through it and get back, her ability that she could be, and think, because that was before the Waltons and all that stuff happened. She won an Academy Award for HUD, and she was in HUD with Melvin Douglas.
Right.
In fact, they both won. I think Melvin Douglas also won.
Well, there were 3 Academy Award winners for this movie, and then there was 1 nominee. And to your point, she was one of them, as far as winning, and I believe he was too.
Yeah, for HUD though. I mean, he won a couple of times for. He won 2 Academy. He got Triple Crown of Acting. Yeah, because he had the 2 Academy Awards, the Primetime Emmy, and the Tony.
What do they call it? Triple threat, right?
Yeah. So they had the HUD connection with Patricia Neal, even though they weren't husband and wife in this movie. And in fact, she was, I think, the housekeeper or something. And she wasn't married to him in HUD either, but they both won for HUD. But there's also a connection between Melvin Douglas and Douglas Fairbanks. Who was it? I just totally lost the thread, because 2 of them were married to horror actresses, or actresses that were in fantasy films back in the 30s. I totally forgot that Melvin Douglas was married to the Helen Gahagan. She was in 1935. She became a politician later. And who was the other one? Oh, John Houseman was married to. Oh man, I can't read my. I mean, I wrote it all down, and now I can't remember. One of them was married to the mummy, not the mummy, but the woman in the mummy, the heroine, and the other one was married to she. So, like, oh, here it is. John Houseman was married to Zita Johann, who played. The woman that Boris Karloff was after in The Mummy.
Oh, okay.
So there you go.
Yeah, they were married for about. It says they were only married for about 4 years.
Well, I mean, The Mummy wanted her, so. How are you going to fight with? How are you going to compete with that? Houseman was born in Romania. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, he became an English citizen, but his parents were. Well, one was from the British Isles. She was of Welsh and Irish extraction, and his father was it Romanian? He was born in Romania. I'm not sure what his father's background was, Jewish, but I can't remember what his home country was. But anyway, he was a grain speculator. John Houseman moved to Argentina. He was living in Argentina. His wife said, this is all drying up here. Why don't you go to try to, I'm acting, she was a stage actress. Why don't you go and try your luck on the, in Hollywood? And that's how
that's crazy. And then the rest of it, and he became such a legend.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird the way things happen sometimes. Seemed like stuff like that happened all the time back then. Like Errol Flynn, like going from the Tasmania and kind of having adventures all the way across the world and becoming one of the biggest film stars in Hollywood.
You can't make it up, Ross.
Yeah. Seems like the world was such a much larger place back then, but sometimes it's in some respects it was smaller.
What it is yeah, we're so connected now that's why it seems so much
Yeah.
smaller.
It really is. It's a lot smaller now, but it seems like everybody kind of knew everybody who was important. Everybody was in a certain business knew everybody, even though the world was huge.
Right. Well, think about it. I mean, now, not that, and this is just one aspect of it, but with celebrities or people that have high profiles, just think about it. Through social media, you can connect with these people, whereas years ago,
right,
you could not. The closest you could get to maybe somebody would be if you found out that they had like a fan club, or if something was published about their, if you want to send like some kind of fan correspondence to, so and so, send it to this address, and it's a PO box that pretty much you feel that it was never going to get read. That's how you went about it. But now fast forward, it's like, well, if you want to try to talk to, so and so that's, in a movie, pretty much, well, like Robin Curtis got her start in this film, and she was, All Roads Lead to Star Trek. She was Saavik in Star Trek 3 and 4, and then she also did Star Trek The Next Generation. I've had the opportunity to meet her up in Ticonderoga. She's wonderful. She's a lovely person, very friendly. I'm friends with her on Facebook. You know what I mean? So it's like,
right.
I even had mentioned, and Edwin, who's a friend of the show, and he's been wonderful and has, connected us with a lot of people. Before I had actually become friends with her, he said, Roy, I can talk to Robin for you. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I, had mentioned to her, so she would be somebody to have on the show. But think about it, you know what I mean? Prime example, how connecting with somebody that's in the industry, and years ago, it would be, and I don't want to say unthinkable, but it would be tough by comparison. But it ties into what you were saying about how, the world has changed. Uh-oh, did you freeze? Shit. Ross. Uh-oh. You there, Ross? Ross. Am I frozen or are you frozen? Ross. Ross. Okay, I don't know. Can folks see Ross? Can you hear me, folks? If you can, somebody please type in. Because I'm still frozen. Ross. Okay, Ross froze. So, okay. All right, Ross. I don't know if you can hear me, but you're frozen. I thought it was me. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate everybody letting me know. So, anyway, but my point is, and I'll just talk for a while before Ross comes back. It's just that things are so much. Okay, thanks, hon. Things are so much different now with everything because of the way technology has enabled us to do what we can do. I mean, and a prime example is doing the show. I mean, being able to connect with everybody. I think it's pretty amazing. But before, well, Ross is gone. He's probably going to try to reboot. It's crazy how in 40 years where we are with technology. And it makes me wonder, where will we be 40 years from now, which is almost unthinkable if you really think about it. So anyway, while we're waiting for Ross to come back, I don't want to get too far ahead, but I would ask the folks out there what you thought of this movie. I'm just curious if you enjoyed this movie, if you saw this film when it was first released, if you've seen it recently, and if you have, do you have a different opinion of it from when you originally saw it? I'm very curious about it. And while I'm waiting for some of the comments to come through, one of the other things I'd like to share is, I was just saying about how all roads lead to Star Trek with Albert Whitlock. who did the visual effects. And then, of course, I was just mentioning about Robin Curtis. The other thing I wanted to point out was Alice Krige. I mean, for fans of Star Trek, The Next Generation, the film First Contact, which came out in 1996, and she played the Borg Queen. I mean, thought she knocked it out of the park with that. It was really, really impressive performance. And she was so good that for Star Trek Voyager fans, they brought her back as the Borg Queen for the finale episode, which was really cool. So there's another point in regards to that. So a lot of Star Trek connections tonight. And I'm checking on Ross to see if he's out there, and he is not. Oh, it says add to stage. There's Ross. Hey, Ross.
What happened?
I don't know. I thought maybe it was me that froze, but then everybody was saying in messaging that it was you that froze. So something happened with you. I don't know.
It said that there was no internet. I had internet connection, but I got shut out, and I don't think it's my connection. But
oh, either way, it's all good.
Everybody dog piles on me. They did it last week too.
It's all good. One of the things I did was while I was waiting for you, I was just talking about the other Star Trek connections in regards to. We talked about Albert Whitlock. We talked about Robin Curtis, but Alice Krige, huge connection with Star Trek First Contact, as well as Star Trek Voyager. And then I was asking the folks out there to let us know what they thought as far as what their feelings is about the movie, if when they first saw it, and if they've seen it since it came out originally, and if they were a fan or if they weren't a fan. So some folks are starting to comment about that.
It kind of blew me away about, hello, Randy.
Hey, Randy. Thanks for joining. And no problem. But thanks for just popping in to say hi. And
I hope you're not typing actually while driving. But yeah. I mean, it amazed me because I had just seen Alice Krige in Chariots of Fire. Rewatched that not too long ago. And she was in... something else I just saw recently, and then I saw her in this, and then I started looking at her IMDb, and it's I saw she did all this genre stuff. So I've seen her in a lot of stuff over the years, but yeah, all this Star Trek stuff, and she was just in the recent Gretel and Hansel where she plays the witch, in that, and she's in one of the Thor movies. What did I just? Oh, I saw her. Back in the day, I saw her in Chariots of Fire. I saw her in King David with Richard Gere. Totally forgettable movie, except for me, because I saw it on Easter and there was a big riot in Philadelphia.
Whoops.
And she was in Haunted Summer, which was a telling of that trip that the Byron and the Shelleys spent, where they told the ghost stories to each other. That became the foundation for Frankenstein and some of the other stories that they wrote. And she played Mary Shelley.
Okay. Yeah.
In the movie. Eric Stoltz was in it too. He played Percy, her husband, Percy Shelley. So anyway, so she's been around for decades.
Which is crazy. I mean, I think I looked it up, and she's 71 years old, and it's like, what?
Yeah, and there's some people you see over and over and over again. Maybe you don't see their work linearly because we have so much access to home video and streaming and everything. So you're picking up pieces over the years, or they rerun things, and it all just came together this week where it's like my head exploded. It's like, oh my God, I've seen everything she's ever done and had no idea who she was.
That's funny.
And I never knew she was the Queen Borg because I never watched those episodes, those incarnations of Star Trek.
Yeah.
But I'd seen her photo in the makeup. So
Jeff Rubel commented, he said, I just looked at a few scenes on YouTube. The horror seems a bit cheesy. The decomposing Alice Krige looks convincing though.
Yeah. And
Brennan said, I like it, but my feeling has changed a little since I read the book. It's a good movie though. Love the music. And Don said, I hope Ross comes back with a beard.
Like Rip Van Winkle. Yeah.
Bill said she was the voice in Picard 3. The Borg Queen. That's right.
I don't know why I'd be surprised, but whenever these British actors do so much genre stuff, I'm always I mean, you had Alec Guinness in Star Wars, and you had there was always like the token
Sure.
British actor they would bring in. And I'm not talking about people like Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee that did the stuff for a living, but I'm talking about, or Donald Pleasance, but I'm talking about, respectable actors that come in and do this stuff. But, they make good money, and I think they enjoy doing it. Like, look at Pete Postlethwaite. Do you remember Pete Postlethwaite? He was in so many genre things.
No, and I probably would remember his face, but I'm not.
You would recognize his face, but he made a lot of small British movies. But he was making things like he was in the Jurassic Park sequel. He was in the Clash of the Titans remake. He was in something else where he gets killed off. He shows up and he's like the kindly father figure, and then he gets killed. He bestows his lessons.
How old is he?
Oh, he's dead now. He died of, he was a big smoker, so he died a few years ago.
And what was his name again?
Pete Postlethwaite. But he's just an example. I mean, you would get, Anthony Hopkins is another example of somebody who would just turn up in anything now. He'll be in Thor, he'll be in Bram Stoker's Dracula. But there was a time when he was just making serious, British movies.
I remember that. I do remember Pete Postlethwaite. I do remember.
And also, Bob Hoskins is another one.
Sure.
Just like all serious British movies, and then suddenly it's like doing Super Mario Brothers and Roger Rabbit. It's just like, because the dough is so good, So
Bill said, Mary says they add a little class. It's true.
They do. They definitely add class, and they make better money here in the U.S. than they did in the UK. But you would think that they would look down on it, and I think they did at one point, like Alec Guinness did. But I think we're at a point now where they actually enjoy doing some of the. I often think about that with like what's his name, Hiddleston and Tom Hiddleston and what's his face, the other one, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, Benedict Cumberbatch,
yeah, because now those guys are doing all genre stuff. But I always wondered at first, it's like, are they slumming when they come here to do Loki, or
Kenneth Branagh?
Yeah. Right. Goes from the Shakespeare to
well, and again, bringing up Laurence Olivier back in the day. I mean, Laurence Olivier, with doing Dracula. I mean,
yeah, but he was old at that point.
True.
Needed the money.
True.
Before that, it was just. Well, he did the Shakespeare things, but then he did the one with Marilyn Monroe. Was it the Prince and the? I can't remember the name of the Prince and the Showgirl. Yeah.
Oh, okay. May said, I probably would have enjoyed the movie more if I hadn't read the book first. Compared to the book, the movie seemed lacking. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the problem sometimes.
Yeah.
And Bill said, why do they now think it's okay to do these parts?
Oh, the
money. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I do think that some of them, I mean, because they're just too many, unless they really like the money. I mean, who doesn't like the money? But I think that the fact that they do so many of them, because you don't have to do as many as some of them do. I don't know. I'm not Life of Chuck. Yeah. I did see that, actually. It was based on a Stephen King story also. That was out within the past year. Mark Hamill was really good at it. I didn't even recognize him.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He plays his dad in the movie, or his grandfather. His grandfather, I think he plays.
He's in his 70s now too.
Yeah, he plays his grandfather. Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, Harrison Ford is 83 now. I think his birthday is our mutual friend that we grew up with, Peggy. Her birthday was on the 13th of July. And I remember she always
identity theft alert. Yeah.
What was that?
Identity theft alert.
I only said Peggy. I didn't give her last name, Ross. Thank you very much.
Peggy. Yeah.
I didn't say a last name.
All right.
I didn't say a last name.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah. So with that, she was a huge Harrison, Ford fan. So and that was the big thing. But yeah, how the heck is he 83? What?
I know. We didn't talk about any of the technical aspects of it beyond the director. The screenplay was by Lawrence D. Cohn, He was known primarily for having written the screenplay for Carrie, but he also he worked on the remake of Carrie that was out in 2000.
Right, they did the remake. Yeah,
Yeah,
2006 maybe.
and then there was a Broadway show of Carrie, and he was developing it. Like anything that had to do with Carrie, this is the guy you talk to. That was his big thing, and he did some other stuff too. He did some other shows, but then you get into like the really heavy hitters, like Jack Cardiff was the cinematographer. And now Jack Cardiff did for one thing, the Vikings with Kirk Douglas and Tony Curtis, but
which, interesting enough, I got to give Ross the mantle on that one. Out of all the things that we have covered on this show, if you had a guess, and I'm giving it away, we have had the most views on YouTube for the Viking. We have like over 40,000 views for the WTF. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you for all those views, and we appreciate them, and we welcome them. But we would only hope that this movie would have 40,000 views. Oh, well, that was the comedic part of the show, folks. What can I say?
Cardiff, legendary cinematographer. He goes all the way back to, he worked with Palin Pressburger on films like Red Shoes, the Red Shoes Ballet, and won an Oscar for Black Narcissus, Life and Death of Colonel Blimp. These are all famous British movies in the early Technicolor era. But he did the Vikings later, and he directed also. I remember he got nominated for an adaptation of D.H. Lawrence's Sons and Lovers in 1960. Did the cinematography for The African Queen with Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn, John Huston movie. So this guy's really, he's been around. He got a second honorary Oscar in 2001. He won the Oscar for Black Narcissus, and then he got an honorary one in 2001. So this guy, if you wanted somebody to lens your movie, this is one of the guys that you want doing it. And it just, I just couldn't believe that somebody would go from doing something like the Vikings that was actually filmed at the fjords in Norway to doing Ghost Story.
Right.
They had the snowy landscapes and things, and apparently they had to make the snow. You know this, right?
Oh,
they weren't getting the snow, so they had to get snow machines and do the rest with matte. Your Whitlock guy did a lot of matte paintings. Yeah, with the snow. So they did a really good job with that, I must say. So Jack Cardiff is the guy you want lensing your thing. And as Roy said, they shot the interiors, a lot of them in Albany. And then they did the outdoor shots at Saratoga Springs and Woodstock, Vermont. But, because all the students.
Nope.
Did I disappear again?
You did for half a second, but you're back.
Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
What the hell?
Can you hear me? I don't know what's going on. Okay, go ahead.
No, but we're talking about the studio interference where they had to reshoot things, and the ending tested poorly, so they reshot the ending. Yeah. Alice Krige was in London, and the other guy, Craig Wasson, was in, I don't know, L.A. or something. So they weren't in the same scene. They were two different camera setups. And I guess at one point they had like a decaying hand reach into his frame on a stick or something.
Uh-oh.
Stick for you.
Ross. Oh, you froze up again. You froze.
Am I frozen now?
You're frozen. You're there, but you're
what?
I don't.
How am I frozen?
I don't know. Ross is freezing up. Oh, he's gone. Ross. We are having major technical issues. Ross, you there? Well, we are going to have to wait for Ross to try to reconnect. But to his point, what he was talking about, the locations, yeah, they were filming all over. And one of the things that they did do is they filmed down in Florida when they were doing the university scenes. So I thought that was pretty interesting as well, too. So, yeah, there was a lot of different, I'll say, landscapes that were utilized for this film. And Yeah, now it's a black hole. Hey, Martin, thanks for joining us. See you out there as well. Well, now we're back where Ross is gone. So, everybody, you are stuck with me for the next few minutes. Oh, Brennan, I hope you're okay. I'm sorry to hear that. Ooh, I know how painful that is. And as you know, I know how painful that is. So I hope you're feeling better, Brennan. Yeah, it's definitely the Gremlins again, Martin. They're having a lot of fun today. Yeah, Bill, a lot of tech problems. A lot of tech problems. In fact, that's why we started a half an hour earlier. And glad to hear you're much better, Brennan. There's nothing fun about kidney stones, and that is awful. Awful. But well, there's Ross. Yeah, Ross. I don't know what's going on, but everybody said that you were freezing up. I don't know if it's on your end.
I wonder if Facebook is the weak link, because my internet connection is fine, but when I get knocked out, it says, sorry, we can't have you in here. Retry, and then it won't let me in. And then when I go back to your invitation in my Facebook message, it won't let me into Facebook. So then I have to wait, and then finally I can get into Facebook. There's something going on that I'm having and I don't know what it is, because I totally rebooted the last time,
right?
And this time I didn't totally reboot, but
no, it's okay. It's
I'm finally back in, but it's not my internet connection.
That's weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
and I mean we're doing this through StreamYard, so it's not even
Facebook. But I had to get to the invitation to get back into StreamYard.
Right. Maybe what I'll do is I'll email it to you instead next time.
Yeah.
But
sorry, folks, I'm not that interesting anyway.
You're fine. My God.
Yeah.
But talking about these different, we were talking about the locations, and that's kind of where we left off, because I think you were about to say about them filming in Florida at the university.
No, I didn't say that, but yes, they did film at the university in Florida.
No, I thought that's what you were going to say, but go ahead.
I was just saying that they filmed in two separate locations for the last scene of the movie.
Right.
So we had to reshoot. That's totally crazy, though, when you think about it, that they have to that they trawl to get the car out of the lake at the. It's like, how do you mobilize something that quickly? There are no frogmen.
Exactly. Now that was if I had a problem with this movie, that was it, because he knew that he was his friend was, the son had a broken leg. He's in the ghost house, I'll say, where she was. And
this is a total spoiler, folks. So don't listen.
It's a 44-year-old movie. So at this point, we're good.
It's still new, but go ahead.
The point is, though, that they were trying. Yeah. Oh, sorry to hear that too, Bill. Yeah. Brennan was saying he had kidney stones.
Oh, I missed. Were you talking about your stones?
He was talking about his stones that he had today. So, and then Bill said he just had them too. So Brennan said he's doing much better though. So that's good.
Okay. Wow.
But I just threw myself off. No, in regards to that though. So he went to go get help, Fred Astaire's character. And to your point, how did he mobilize them to get to the lake as quickly as they did, especially after he was taken and he was being kidnapped, and then he got away by stabbing the guy. So it's like,
if you're going to get that posse together, you're going to go to the house, aren't you? Rather than go and try to get this car. And the other thing was, they make a big deal about how it's night and you see the full moon and everything. And then when they're pulling the cart out, it's daytime, but it's at the same time. So it's like, what's going on in this movie?
Yeah, that was my biggest complaint.
That was one of those the studio tampering with it, because that was not supposed to end like that. Yeah. But what have you? So we talked, and then the missing link was Dick Smith, the makeup artist, who did all the gross rotting corpses, and he was involved with The Exorcist. He did the makeup for The Godfather, for Marlon Brando. He had a famous makeup, and he won an Academy Award for Amadeus, for Salieri's makeup, for F. Murray Abraham's get up there. So he was good with that stuff. So you had Dick Smith, you had Albert Whitlock doing the matte paintings, you had Jack Cardiff with your cinematography, and then you had John Irving, who let's look at this newcomer on this big budget movie that we spent over $1 million to get the rights to the book.
Yeah, it is.
Working again. Yeah, right. So, that's all I had.
And you had all that talent too.
You had all that talent. It was crazy that they kind of hedged on the focus of the movie, which would have originally been the 4 guys in the Chowder Club, Chowder Society, who tell each other ghost stories to try to, I guess, did they really try to exercise this guilt through their ghost stories, or is it just a way to pass the time? Because they're still having nightmares every night about this horrible incident in their past.
Right. And they never talked about it again either. That was the other thing. Once it happened, it was over, it was done with, and they just moved on. But they carried the guilt for all those years.
Did you notice when they went back and they had the younger counterparts, the younger actors, and none of them ever really became big names? But did you notice that I couldn't even keep them apart except for the Douglas Fairbanks Jr. guy, because he had the mustache,
Right.
But the one I think who was supposed to play Fred Astaire's younger counterpart, they asked him about dancing, and he says, "Oh, I can't dance."
Yes, that was not.
That was kind of a funny throwaway, because of course Fred Astaire was primarily known as a dancer, not really an actor,
Right. And sadly, out of the 4 of those younger guys, only one of them is still alive. All the other 3.
Oh, yes, I did hear that. Yeah.
One had passed away from sickness. The other 2 were in accidents. One was, I believe it was a bicycle accident. And then the other one was a motorcycle accident? But Ken Allen, who played the young Sir James, which was John Houseman's character, he's the one that's currently still alive. I was just going to say he became an actor. Well, he was an actor, and then he also went into directing.
They all did a really bad job imitating the older guys, except for the one that was Douglas Fairbanks Jr., because I couldn't tell. I could kind of tell the one that was the Fred Astaire guy. And by saying that Fred Astaire wasn't really an actor, I'm not saying that he wasn't an actor, but he wasn't a serious dramatic actor. All of his acting was always in the context of the musicals. Yeah. He's a superb, innovative dancer, hypnotic dancer, because he went from all those top hat films in the early years to those crazy films in the 50s where he just worked everything into his dances. They're just amazing high concept dances all through the movies. If you've never watched any of these things, it's just like so many different kinds of dancing he incorporates into one film. But he hadn't danced on film since 1968, I think. It was Francis Ford Coppola's Finian's Rainbow. Okay. And he didn't like all out dance, but he was, he had one musical number where he got to move around a little bit. And they danced at the Academy Awards, I remember one year, which was something he tried to avoid doing spontaneous stuff like that, because he was always very perfectionist.
Yeah.
And he never felt like he lived up to his vision, but he did dance on, I remember it might've been 1970 when he was on the Oscars broadcast, that he did a dance routine. But after that, I don't think he ever danced in public. So this was 11 years later.
And this was his last movie too.
This was his last movie. And I guess, he was nominated. The only time he was nominated, I think, was for Towering Inferno.
Oh, okay.
But he did receive a special Oscar back in the 1950 for his contributions to dance in the movies. So,
but he had a problem with doing this movie. In fact, I think they even said at one point he almost walked off the set. He was almost going to bail out of it.
Because he was, he kind of gave him the heebie-jeebies a little bit. Yeah,
freaked him out.
Is it wrong for me to say that? You want to change the subject. Is it wrong for me to say that in that scene where Douglas Fairbanks Jr. is walking through the snow and he thinks he sees his son in the distance and he's walking along, he sees the postman, that I really wanted it to be Fred Astaire from Santa Claus Is Coming to Town, and that he would get into that crazy sleigh postal thing and start singing "You Better Watch Out"? You know what I'm talking about, right?
I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you turn all Rankin Bass. Wouldn't that be great?
That would have been good. That would have been a nice. That would have been a nice twist, a nice nod.
I know he could have had like all
nice
the birds
wink.
and chipmunks and stuff with scarves on, and
We love that. That is such a fun thing to watch every year, and that's coming up.
yeah.
Brendan saying Finian's Rainbow was a fun movie. There was one hilarious moment, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't think you could get away with doing it now.
And I'm not sure what it is. So
it's probably Keenan Wynn in blackface.
no, jeez.
But it makes it's not for it makes a point, but I don't think it would fly today.
No. Craig Wasson, or yeah, I'm thinking I'm pronouncing it. He played Don and David, both brothers, just like Alice Krige played Eva and Amy.
Right, and this now
or
in the book, there's there seems to be a suggestion, because you mentioned the Manitou. There seems to be a suggestion that she's kind of like this eternal figure, as opposed to being motivated by what happened with these four guys in the past with her that set this whole story in progress. She seems to like predate that in the book, like she's some kind of primal force. I haven't read the book.
Yeah, it's like in the book it's more like she's an entity,
like an entity that has some kind of axe to grind against the town, as opposed to these four guys. Because I know there's a scene that they cut where a farmer was supposed to have murdered his family, and there was something else where somebody that was tangentially related got killed. Whereas it's supposed to be. I was surprised that there was this stuff happening with the son, and because these people weren't directly involved in what happened.
Right. Sherry said she saw Finnegan's Rainbow at the State Theater with her mom. Nice. So yeah, that's a question. In fact, she asked too. She said, "And did Fred get arrested? Did his character get arrested?" So there is no. I mean, I guess that would be what, involuntary manslaughter? Is that what that would have been?
Yeah, it's like, how do you explain that?
Right. I mean, and he obviously knew because he brought them there, and then that kind of laid Alma to rest. But then, was he going to be tried? What was going to happen with him? You know what I mean? It's very unclear, and it's not stated, so it is unclear.
Yeah. Well, maybe they arrested him and let him walk. Who knows? But
Brennan said yes. In the book, it changed into a werewolf at one point.
There you go.
There was another point I was going to bring up too, and it went right out of my mind. Oh, I hate when that happens. I can't remember.
I pushed past it.
Oh, I forget. Now I remember. So what did you think in regards to, so she was having a relationship with was it with Fred Astaire, Ricky? She was going to have a relationship with Ricky, and then what happened was it didn't happen. And then
no, with the Douglas Fairbanks character,
or Douglas Fairbanks rather. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah, right. So then what happens is then they get drunk, they all come to the house, and then they're pretty much, wasted, and then they're trying to, they're messing around is what they're doing, and then that's when things get out of control, and then that's when what happens where she hits her head. So that in itself was kind of I don't know, it was kind of weird.
Yeah, and the movie does kind of suggest, but doesn't state. Like, I was wondering if I was like kind of inferring from what was going on that there was something unusual about her beyond what happened that night, because everything seemed okay up to a point, but then there was a little bit of something where didn't she already say like what she said later in the movie about their lives dripping away or whatever it was. Like there was something earlier that suggested that she may have been around for a while before that happened. It was an ambiguous thing, but certainly when she met the son, yeah, nobody knows what I'm talking about if you haven't seen the movie or read the book. When she and Don are involved in Florida, certainly there's kind of that continuity between
right. No, that I got, but I'm talking about in the past. I'm talking about more when she meets up with the four guys and they're all hanging out. And
right.
That not so much later on, but in the
But you
past.
know what? The other thing is that Irvin, the director, said that the approach he wanted to take, what he read into it, which is not at all what Straub was going for, was that he wanted to portray it as kind of a like a misogynist society, that it was a patriarchal society, is what it was, and he wanted to show that she was more of a victim than So I don't know that he pulled that off necessarily, but that was his perspective. He wanted to make it a parable about the oppression of women in this patriarchal world these guys lived in. Yeah, and I don't know if that really came across in the movie.
I read that, but I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't get that. I didn't pick up on that.
If he wanted to do that, I think there was just too much pressure from the screenwriter and from the studio, and I don't know if everybody came from the same place.
That's the problem, because you have varying opinions on the approach that should have been done with the film.
Yeah.
And then what's happening is it's being edited. I mean, really, Patricia Neal, she hardly had anything in this movie, if you think about it.
Yeah. Well, they had test screenings and people didn't like certain things, so they took stuff out, they put stuff in. And
you were talking about the ending before. The ending was supposed to be totally different.
Yeah, and they put more rotting corpses in there.
And then they took the one scene out, and then it was used in a different movie. It wasn't even in this film.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, at the time, I thought it was. I mean, they tried to turn it into a conventional ghost story. It was almost like, I think there was more to it, as May was saying earlier. You indicated too, Ross. It was more. The book was more psychological. So I think that when this was being filmed, it may have been going more in that direction, but they also had toned it back a bit, because you can only do so much when you're filming. You can't get into, I mean, you can get into the minds of somebody, but then it kind of gets, to do a film like that, it goes in a certain direction, and that's not what the director wanted.
Yeah, because it's not linear. It's not like you and I speaking. And if you have a plot-driven story, I think it's easy to kind of do that. But if things get a little fantastical or kind of go into weird places where it's not entirely linear, but things are kind of flashing between time periods and stuff, it's hard.
It is.
I did note that Astaire and Patricia Neal's characters' last names were Hawthorne, and Hawthorne was one of the big influences on the writer. And also, I wouldn't have picked it out other than the fact, if not for the fact that they were named Hawthorne, but Melvin Douglas's character's last name was James. So James and Hawthorne were two of the big influences on him in writing the book.
Right.
So it's that New England guilt, the Puritan guilt is what it is. What they always. That's what Hawthorne always wrote about anyway. And Henry James is always interested in the psychological aspects of these things.
So it was appropriate. Sherry's busting my chops. She says, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't even know what Ross was talking about before. You had never seen Santa Claus is Coming to Town. I hadn't.
You are busted. Always going to keep you culturally literate, Roy.
That's funny.
No, if it was Star Trek, you would have seen it.
There you go.
Yeah,
but Michael O'Neill, this was his first movie too.
Who is he? I didn't know.
He was Churchill.
And what did he? Who is he? What did he go on to be?
Honestly, I don't know, but it was, it was some significance, because they actually went out of their way to say that.
Yeah, I did look him up. Actually, I did look him up earlier in the week. Yeah. So he did stuff later. Yeah, but I
Yeah,
can't.
he's like a character actor because I've
Yeah,
definitely seen him before.
But what about poor Craig Wasson, the guy who played Don and his brother? I mean, he had his shot. This was a big mainstream movie. He was in another Arthur Penn movie around the same time, and then he was in Body Double, Brian De Palma. So these were high-profile movies that people went to see, but none of them really took off. It isn't that sad that when a movie fails or doesn't live up to expectations, everybody involved with it kind of gets kind of blackballed by it, unless you're like a technical person like Jack Cardiff that's been around. But if you're an actor or a director or a writer, that movie was stinko, so your career is over.
Yeah, and what's so frustrating is that's your shot. It could easily have gone in a different direction.
Yeah,
and it's almost like you hit the lottery. Brennan said, I once dated one of Hawthorne's great granddaughters.
Wow. That would have been so awesome. She probably had no interest at all in Hawthorne. Brennan, was she into like the whole great grandfather thing?
I love Craig in movie For Friends.
For Friends, that was the Arthur Penn. Yeah, but he was in a lot of stuff after that. I looked at his IMDb credits, but he was never the big lead beyond a certain point. So
sometimes it happens, and sometimes it doesn't.
And he wasn't bad in this. I thought he was one of the. Who was the best? I thought out of the old timers, the one that was most. His acting was the most naturalistic. I thought was Houseman.
Yeah,
he seemed like he was just a regular actor. He didn't have kind of,
not forced.
We're watching somebody from a different era kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like Fred Astaire is Fred Astaire.
Right.
So, and Houseman seemed like a character.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was a character. Brennan said, yes, she was into horror and actually read some of his stories.
Well, there you go. See, it would have been like a dream come true. Yeah. Until you found out it was Alice Krige.
That's funny. So,
or Alice Krige.
What about the musician, Ross, the composer?
Oh, Philippe Sard. Yeah. His is a name that I often see with on Roman Polanski movies. He's a French composer, obviously, with a name like that. He was nominated for an Academy Award for Tess, which you'll recall was Roman Polanski, but also it made Nastasia Kinski. Nastasia Kinski, like kind of an international sensation for a bit. He was nominated for an Academy Award. For Tess, but he's nominated for 12 César Awards, which is basically the French Academy Awards, the equivalent. And he won in 1976 for a film called Barocco, which has Isabelle Adjani and Gerard Depardieu. I've never seen it. But the reason he was hired for this is because he did a film called Le Chat, CHAT, in 1971, and it had a kind of a bickering, contentious married couple in it. And for some reason, somebody who had seen that thought it would be a good idea because of the dynamics in this film to have that composer come in and write the music for this. So supposedly, I don't know the Le Chat, but there are references in the score to, there are parallels to what he had done with that other score. Like there are parts of it that kind of sound like it. So that's Philippe Sard. I thought it was very interesting that the organ that was in the house that they played was actually the organ that Lon Chaney played in Phantom of the Opera in 1925.
I thought that was really cool, and I was thinking that organ today would be literally 100 years old.
Yeah, and it would be. And what's crazy is we never actually heard the organ because it was a silent movie,
right?
But we got to hear it in Ghost Story, so
that is kind of an interesting twist.
Yeah, assuming it actually came out of the instrument, they didn't dub it.
Yeah, that's true too. Right.
But
physically, it was the same organ, though.
Yeah. So that was cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. So he's still alive, Philippe Sard, but he hasn't done anything since, at least on IMDb, he hasn't done anything since about 2010. So he's probably retired.
Yeah. Wow, 2010. Crazy. 15 years ago already.
Yeah.
But well, thanks. That's cool.
Mm.
Anyway, what do you think? Would you recommend this film? Would you yay or nay it?
I mean, tepid yay. It's like I wouldn't tell anybody to go out of their way to see it, but if it's on, watch it.
Yeah.
It's kind of yeah. I don't think it's like a classic. You might want to see it if you're into the old timers, but I would go back and watch their old movies rather than watch this. I'd rather see Douglas Fairbanks in Gunga Din or Prisoner of Zenda than watch Ghost Story.
Yeah, take 2010, the year we made contact. It's so true. And that came out in 1984.
Yeah.
No, I agree, Ross. I enjoyed this movie, but I wanted more from it. It needed a little bit more, and I'm not sure what that would have been. But it came up a little short. I thought it was good, but it was missing something, and I don't know what that was.
And it kind of depressed me a little bit to see like Melvin Douglas go from Ninotchka to like some guy who's barely mobile.
Yeah.
All these guys having nightmares. And it's just like,
yeah,
man,
it's depressing.
Age is time is a horrible thing.
It is. It is. And these guys, I mean, we're talking about the time frame. I mean, this is 1981. Literally like 30 years earlier. These guys were, just in their outside of their prime.
Yeah, 30, 40 years ago. Yeah.
It was atmospheric, and I appreciated that. It definitely was. Yeah, I thought it was an enjoyable movie, but it again, not to be redundant, it just needed a little bit more of something.
And sometimes if a movie's well put together, you can excuse a lot. Like you wouldn't even think about the bizarre nature of pulling that car out at the end. You know what I mean? If you were caught up in the suspense and it was just all so well done, you wouldn't even think about the ridiculous logic of some of that stuff. But you had time to think in this one a little bit.
Yeah, and I get that he was trying to save him because they were convinced it was the spirit that was haunting, and
right. He could have just gone to the house in 2 seconds.
Exactly. Patrick Stewart.
It's funny because I was really thinking Matilda May with Krige in this one. I'm thinking, wow, she's gonna give it a run for the money here.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Matilda May.
Well, yeah, I think any film could use Matilda May. Yeah.
Anyway. With that said, I'm going to go to the shout outs and then we'll come back and we'll wrap things up because I'm trying to stay on time here. I told Ross we'd do it at 9. So
yeah, I thought about not coming back the second time.
That's the spirit, Ross.
I said I can't do that.
At least I know you're not a pod.
Matilda, 3 exclamation points too.
Anyway, bringing you our creative awareness through our shout outs. With that said, Matilda May.
He's making me miss the chat girls.
Oh God. Back when the show used to be fun. It's time to go through another drive-through.
Yep.
Anyway, want to give a shout out to Mike and Mary Beth, our friends at Sci-Fi Distilled. They are on Wednesday nights, and I don't have a specific slide for this, but before I plug their show that they're going to be doing this coming Wednesday, which is at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and will be October 22nd. Before I plug them for that, I'm going to plug them for the 29th, because on the 29th, which is Wednesday, October 29th, we are going to be doing our annual crossover episode with Mike and Mary Beth. And a lot of times they'll come on our show, and a lot of times we'll go on their show. This year we're going on their show. It will be at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and we will be doing... What are we doing, Ross?
I don't know. Is this Monster Squad? Is that the one?
Yeah,
Is that? But is it?
I have a monster block against that title. So yes, we are going to be doing Monster Squad with Mike and Mary Beth. Mark your calendars, 7 p.m. Wednesday, October 29th. So that gives you time to prepare. And we will.
So we have another week yet.
Yeah. So another week, another 10 days. 12 days, another 12 days, and we will all be in costume. And I do not know what I am going to wear, and I'm sure you don't have any thoughts yet, Ross, right?
No, I don't have any thoughts.
Yeah. So the only person that probably has, will be prepared, because Mike was even saying that he just comes up with something at the last minute, but he always comes through. Mary Beth will probably have something, and she'll be really prepared, but I have nothing. I don't know. I got to come up with something. I got to be creative. But anyway, we are going to be doing the Monster Squad, and not to talk it out, but Shari and I caught it, and it was the Monster Squad. And I'll just leave it at that because I don't want to talk it out.
You don't want to talk it out, but yeah, since there was I don't know if there was hesitancy or not, that they gave us that other option. So I've never seen it, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's enjoyable. You'll enjoy it. Well, I shouldn't tell you that, Russ. You know what? You're gonna hate it.
I know you got my hopes all up, my expectations.
But I lied. I lied. So anyway, getting back to them. So this coming Wednesday, which is going to be the 22nd. How is it? I'm going on about this, but October 22nd already? Jeez.
Wait, this Wednesday?
Next Wednesday is the 22nd.
22nd, wow.
Yeah. So what they're going to be covering is they're going to be talking, they're doing their Halloween month as well. And they're going to be talking about movies or maybe even TV that feature an alien or a creature in the film. Now, it can't be a mention. The alien or the creature has to be in the film, or the.
I don't know how they're going to fill an hour with that.
But that's what they're talking about. They're doing it this Wednesday. I'm curious actually what that would be. Right away, of course, when you think alien, you think aliens or the Alien franchise. There's a lot of movies that with different creatures, though.
So, I think so. Yeah.
And TV shows too. So anyway, that's for Mike and Mary Beth, and that's next Wednesday.
All right.
For our friends at Countrygate Players and Bill Scrotto, who's not out there tonight. Actually, I think he has rehearsals on Friday nights. But Bill is actually directing, I believe. I don't know if Gina is. I think Bill is directing. Shari, I don't know. Maybe Shari knows, and I'm just not thinking. Anyway, Bill, the owner of the theater, and his daughter, Gina, owner of the theater, they are doing Frankenstein, and that is going to be at the Countrygate Playhouse. That is going to be 2 weekends. The first weekend is the weekend of October 25th, and then the second weekend goes through, it's actually November 1st, so November 1st and 2nd. And if you are in the Belvedere area, Harmony, New Jersey area, check out the website, Countrygate Players, and the website address is www.countrygate.org. And Bill also has a website, which is www.billscorado.com. So anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's Halloween time for Frankenstein. Also, Captain Phil's Planet. Captain Phil is on now at 9 o'clock on Fridays, and he is on from 9 to 11:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. He's also on Thursdays from 4 to 5 p.m. And he is on WUSB 90.1 FM, Stony Brook, New York. So definitely check out the captain's schedule. And then also, I want to give a shout out to my son, Ryan. Ryan has an online coaching service, and it is run by Ryan, Empower Your Run. And his website address is www.runbyryan.com. It is free to register. However, there are different levels if you want to go to the different tiers. There is a cost involved with that. So definitely check it out. Ryan is very passionate about his running, and he's very good, and he's very dedicated, and it's a really good thing. Very proud of him. And also, just throwing this out there, if you are a Lost in Space fan, today, it started at 6 p.m. If you are in Pennsylvania, Carlisle, Pennsylvania, they are doing the Carlisle Comic-Con, one of the things that they're doing out there is they are celebrating the 60th anniversary of Lost in Space. It's actually going on tonight, right now, and it will be going on all day tomorrow. And one of the special guests that is going to be there is Marta Kristen, who was Judy Robinson from Lost in Space. So there's also a lot of other cool stuff going on there, but definitely check it out. Dan Monroe, who's a podcasting personality, will also be there, and also some other cool folks as well. And I think Dan is bringing his B9 robot too, which is pretty cool. So anyway, if you're in the Carlisle, Pennsylvania area, check it out. And Ross, what do you got going on?
All right. Well, there's no point in talking about Picture Perfect because it's over at this point. But it was fantasy film scores of Bernard Herrmann. Sweetness and Light, my light music show. It's all autumn themed tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock on the East Coast here. If you're listening out west, 3 hours earlier, 8 o'clock in the morning. And The Lost Chord is my unusual and neglected classical music show. And this week, it's Fall at the House of Atreus. It's classical tragedy dealing with the Oresteia, the family, including Electra. So I'm having a piece about her written by the Dutch composer Alphonse Diepenbrock. And then I have kind of a voice for chorus and orchestra, voices, chorus and orchestra, vocalist, chorus and orchestra by Darius Milhaud called Les Choix-Forts, which is also about the House of Atreus. So yeah, I understand it's kind of pointy headed, but I write scripts and do introductions, so it makes more sense when you hear it in the context of the show. Anyway, all three of those air at KWAX, and you can find the times and the links and so forth on my Facebook page at Classic Ross Amico. I post about them on the day of the shows. So tomorrow morning I'll post about Sweetness and Light and The Lost Chord. Thanks, Roy.
Thanks, Ross. No, that's cool.
Yeah.
And as far as what we're doing next Friday is actually Chiller, and that's taking place in Parsippany, New Jersey. So I might actually be just kind of going down there to check it out. So there is not going to be a show next Friday. Ross is tied up on Sunday. There may be a show on Sunday, October 26th at 7 p.m. Stay tuned, folks. I'll keep you posted on that. I'm not sure if there will be, but we'll see. So if there is no show next weekend, then the next show that will be taking place will be on the 29th, because we will be on Mike and Mary Beth Sci-Fi Distilled to do our special annual crossover with them. There will be no show on Friday, the 31st of October. However, maybe there will be a show on Sunday, November 2nd. Again, stay tuned. So the next few Fridays we will be off. So just want to give everybody a heads up on regards to that. And yeah. And just looking at some of the comments that came in, Shari commented, she said about the movie Ghost Story, she said, but if they just went to the house, she would have killed them all. In regards to everything that was going on. So no, that's a valid point, because her spirit was running rampant. But even if they probably would have had the whole town with them if they went back. But still, I guess don't fool with Mother Nature. It's supernatural. So
burn the house down.
Yeah, it would have been like something out of like maybe Salem.
The torches and pitchforks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Brennan said, I had a good time. Sorry I missed so many shows, but I have caught up. By the way, Ross, the book Kurosawa's High and Low was based on was The King's Ransom by Ed McBain.
Yeah. Spike Lee just remade it as was it High to Low with Denzel. It was just out.
Denzel. Brennan also said no one ever thinks of Craig Wasson. Lots of laughs. Shari said Gina is directing Frankenstein. Okay, so it wasn't Bill, and Bill does have a small part in it. So there we go.
What about Guillermo del Toro? What about his Frankenstein? What's the date today?
Today is the 17th of October.
I wonder if it opens today.
It might.
I don't know. Anyway, it's coming out soon. Del Toro's Frankenstein. Crickets.
Well, you know what? I vaguely remember hearing about that, and I forgot. And I was just talking about. You know what, Ross? I don't think it is out today. No, I was thinking because I was just
I think
talking to
it's
my coworker and I was saying about the movies today that there's never anything really good in the movies. And I looked online and I did not see it mentioned. So I'm wondering if maybe it's not going to, are they maybe holding it out until Halloween?
Wednesday. Maybe.
Maybe they're doing that.
Yeah,
And Halloween is on a Friday, so it's possible maybe they're waiting. I don't know.
Let's see. Yeah, it's I don't know. You know, it's going to be a downer.
Anyway, but I want to thank everybody that tuned in tonight. And Brennan said I think it's on Netflix. Okay,
What?
that's
in the theater?
He said,
This is October 17th. What's on Netflix?
well, that's what Brennan said. Maybe it's on Netflix.
Maybe it's a limited release or something. I
Yeah,
don't
it
know.
could be. But
Netflix. Maybe I'll watch it right now. No, it's 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Wow. Okay, that's kind of cool.
150 minutes. Yeah. So.
But anyway, folks, thank you for tuning in. Thank you again. If you haven't liked or shared any of the pages, meaning on Facebook or YouTube, please do so. There is no charge associated with that, and we just want to get the word out. So, any last words, Ross?
No, I said too much already.
And with that said, live long and prosper, everyone.
Have a good weekend. Live long and prosper.
Bye-bye.
Bye.